From Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com and stay tuned to find out about the Coach's Collectibles item of the day. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media, coming up this Friday, the Marty Lyons Foundation Bowling for Wishes event at Levittown Lanes. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Well, hi again, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. I'm Peter Schwartz. Once again, we are coming to you from the Collaborate Space Studios here in Lynbrook as Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown continues to go through some construction process. So while that is going on there, we are very, very happy to call Collaborate Studios here in Lynbrook our home away from home. So once again, we thank Chris Ganem and his staff for the hospitality of being back in here. We're going to be back here on Thursday as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll tell you about that show a little bit later on in this program. Coming up on the show, I'm going to be joined by Associated Press Jets beat writer Dennis Waszak. That's why I'm all decked out in Jet stuff today. Try to put a smile on my face with some of the other crap I've had to deal with on this Tuesday. We'll also have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We're going to have the TicketBash.com sports calendar, and we'll have the Coach's Collectibles item of the week, plus a couple of other cool things we're going to talk about in the last segment. Make sure you are subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel on YouTube and follow Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And again, today's show being broadcast live on the Sports Bash Media socials. Later on today, we will transfer the video over to Governors. So if you're used to watching the show on Governors Comedy Club, it'll be there later. Our good friend Tony Walker is going to post the video a little bit later on. No phone calls on the show today, unfortunately. So if you want to try and get involved with the show and immerse yourself with the show, you can tweet at me at Schwartz Sports, or on Instagram, you can message me at Peter Schwartz Sports. We're going to talk about the Jets with Dennis Waszak from the Associated Press a little bit later on. But obviously, the pressing issue here in New York today is the Yankees. And if you know me and you followed this show and you have followed me on other platforms, whether it's WFAN or any of the other podcasts I've done, any other places I've written for, you know that I don't like lazy sports takes. I'm an old fart already in this business. I'm in this business 35 years. I grew up with the origins of Sports Talk Art Rush Jr. here in New York. As WFAN evolved, obviously, Mike and the Mad Dog became the thing. I like to talk sports, and I don't like to sit in front of a microphone and just yell out crap for no reason, just to get clicks. Look, we like people watching the show, and we like people watching the clips afterward. But the last thing I'm going to do is sit here, and you know this if you follow me and you watch me and you're a fan of the show. You know I don't just blow a gasket over anything. And I think too many problems with sports talk radio and podcasts are lazy takes. And one of the lazier takes over the last few years regarding the Yankees has been this idea, and I say it to myself, I say it to friends, I say it to family, this would never happen if George Steinbrenner was alive. Like, if George was alive, heads would roll. If George was alive, Brian Cashman, I get it. George, may he rest in peace, George Steinbrenner would have handled this Yankee issue a lot differently than his son, Hal, is handling it. And certainly Brian Cashman would have been dealt with, I would think, a long time ago. But here we are. And this is not to be a lazy take. This is not to be Peter crying about the Yankees. This is reality. And the reality is the Yankees are a mess right now. They are a mess for a number of reasons. And the biggest problem is accountability. Accountability is so important in every person's life. You have to be accountable for your actions. And you teach that to your kids. If your child doesn't clean up after dinner, throw his or her garbage in the garbage, and you say, well, what happened? Well, this happened, that happened. No, take accountability. Throw your garbage out. If you are an Uber driver and the Uber app tells you that that Uber driver is going to come get you in 5 minutes, and 10 minutes have gone by that the guy hasn't showed up, and then when he gets there, well, I'm sorry, there was this happened and that happened. I'm like, no, take accountability. The app said you would be here in 5 minutes. You're here in 10. So take accountability. And that's the biggest problem with the Yankees right now. There is no accountability going on here. This is a team that has won one World Series in the last 25 years. And every year they go about their business acting like they've won the World Series the year before. And I don't want to come off as a stuck-up, spoiled Yankee fan, because I don't ever try to get that out. But the bottom line is, if you're running a professional sports team and you've a general manager that has been in place since 1998, obviously rode the coattails off the previous general manager and won the 3 championships in 98, 99, and 2000. And then put his stamp on things over the course of a few years, and they won again in 2009. But Brian Cashman has won one World Series in 25 years. One. That's like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company having one really good, productive year. Now, I know winning the World Series is not the end-all, be-all. You could have a successful season by winning your division, winning 100 games, getting to the World Series like the Yankees did last year. But when it comes to sports, like the stakes are higher. You're set to a higher standard. And when you're the general manager of a team for 25 years, and remember, he's been the GM for more than that, going back to 98. But the current clump of years that we're looking at is 25 years. One World Championship in the 25 years. Obviously, another trip to the World Series last year, but one World Series. And there's no accountability. Because if there was accountability, Brian Cashman would be out of a job. And I never like it when people lose their jobs. I get it. It sucks. I've dealt with it myself before. But when your job is to produce a winning team and you don't produce a winning team, you have to be held accountable. And let's not let Aaron Boone, the manager, off the hook here. And I have defended him since he became the Yankee manager. Remember, he was named the Yankee manager not because he had a great resume as a manager. He had never managed anywhere before. He got that job because he was going to be a good mouthpiece for the organization. He was going to follow along with the Yankees' analytical approach. And I never really was able to put 2 and 2 together and figure out, is this guy a good manager or not? Did he make that pitching change because the analytics department told him to do it? Did he put that lineup out? Did he give a guy a rest after playing 3 straight days because the analytics department told him to do it? Or did he have a gut feeling? I always talk about how Joe Torre, one of the great things about Joe Torre during his reign as Yankee manager was he had a gut feelings. He stuck to his gut on things. He didn't actually always look at numbers in this. He had a feeling. He had his pulse on the team. Even Joe Girardi, who had that binder, but he still had a gut feeling to things. Like Aaron Boone, I don't know what his gut feelings are because there's no way of telling if he's a good manager or not. And I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but there is no giving him the benefit of the doubt when you get swept by the Marlins. The Marlins, I granted they've done better since the All-Star break, but you can't be getting swept by the Miami Marlins. Come on. And last night, And here's the biggest joke. Last night, one of their prize trading deadline acquisitions, Jake Bird, has sucked since he's been a Yankee. And last night gives up the walk-off home run. He got optioned to AAA today. How do you make a key trading deadline acquisition and you send that guy down to AAA? Like, to me, like, if I was the Yankee owner, I would have Brian Cashman in my office today and say, you traded for this guy on whatever day it was, Thursday. You traded for him. He's supposed to be part of this big revamped Yankee bullpen. He's had 2 disaster outings. And now you're sending him to AAA. You gave up prospects to get him. Now, maybe those prospects don't turn out to be a hill of beans, but what are we doing here? What the flip are we doing here? You trade for a pitcher and then you send him down to the minors? And I know he gave up a walk-off home run last night, but you can't be making a prized trading deadline acquisition and then after a couple of appearances send the guy down to AAA. It's ludicrous. I'm not talking about the rapper. I grew up with some really, really crappy Yankee teams. I mean, look, thank God for the teams that won. The Yankees don't owe me anything in my life. I've seen them win a bunch of championships. But before they started winning, 96, 77, 76 going to the World Series, winning in 77, 78. Then after the 81 appearance in the World Series, they had that abyss that took them to not making the playoffs until 1995. And then the dynasty came. So like the last, since 1995, the Yankees have not had a losing record. And I think they've only not made the playoffs 3 or 4 times. So you can't really argue with that. But when you're the New York Yankees and your mission statement under the boss, under George Steinbrenner, may he rest in peace, the greatest owner ever in the history of professional sports. And if you want to bring up somebody else, you're going to fight a losing argument with me. But when you set the bar that the mission statement is to win the World Series, get to the World Series, win the World Series, winning 1 in 25 years does not equal that mission statement. And I'm sorry, Hal Steinbrenner, you have failed miserably as an owner because you are not holding your baseball department accountable for what's gone on the field in the last 25 years for the most part. And I'll close my Yankee rant with this because I want to get on to something a little better. It's not very often that a change made in the middle of the season, especially this late in the season in August, can have an impact. But I don't know how Hal Steinbrenner can sit there at home or in his office in Tampa and look at this team and not think that you should not make a change. I would fire Cashman. I would fire Boone. I would fire a bunch of coaches. Maybe you name Brad Ausmus the manager for the rest of the year. I'll tell you who I want. And you don't have to look too far to get him. You get him out of the broadcast booth, and that's Joe Girardi, who had some great success for you, should never have been fired in the first place. Gets fired after taking his team to the ALCS against an Astros team that cheated. But they fired him because he wasn't going to go along with the new analytical approach. I would go pick up Joe Girardi wherever he is right now in my car, and I would bring him to the Bronx or Arlington, wherever they are, Arlington, Texas. But that's the guy I would want. And if you don't want to go in that direction, and you want to go in a fresh direction next year, I would pick up the phone and call Don Mattingly. Because Don Mattingly did a great job managing the Dodgers, did a really good job managing the Marlins. I would love to bring Don Mattingly home. As for the GM, I could be, show me being a Yankee boy and say, well, maybe Derek Jeter could be the GM. I don't know if that's a real option, but I would go find another general manager. You have to bring in somebody new. If you want to subscribe to this analytic theory, then go find somebody from an organization where it's worked. Go find somebody from the Rays who had success with it for a while. Go find somebody else. It's enough with Brian Cashman already. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being a proud employee of the Yankees for so many years and being a part of 5 World Championship teams. But it's enough. It's enough. I can't. They're hard to watch. They're hard to watch. Devin Williams again last night blows the save. How many more times do we have to look at that? It's enough. It's time for the Yankees to go in a completely different direction. And if it means breaking it down for a year or two, I'm fine with that. But the same old, my wife Cheryl has one of the great sayings, and I don't know if she came up with it herself or she found it somewhere, and she reminds everybody in our family about it a lot of times too, because I'm guilty of a lot of things and my kids are guilty of a lot of things. Like, yet you can't be resistant to change. And my wife's saying is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. You can't be stubborn. If you're Hal Steinbrenner, you cannot be stubborn to make changes. I don't care how many championship rings Brian Cashman has in his drawer or in his mantle or wherever he keeps his championship rings. It is time for a change in the Bronx, period. End of story. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Hal, it's time for a change. If you want to make the fan base happy, if you want this team to go in the right direction, it is time for a change, period. End of story. Now, talk about a team that did make some changes. The New York Islanders, and we know the story. Lou Lamoriello not brought back. Matthew Darche, the new general manager. And you can sense things. If you watch the show, you remember the day of the Matthew Darche press conference. I talked to you about it, how different it feels around the Islanders organization. It's a breath of fresh air. Employees are smiling. You see the social media team for the Islanders unleashed, doing all this great content that Lou Lamoriello wouldn't let them do. And now you see it. It's glorious. It's beautiful. And the Islanders wind up getting the first overall pick in the draft. And they select this young man, Matthew Schaefer, a defenseman from just outside of Toronto. And you know his story by now. Lost his mother last year to cancer. He's not even 18 years old yet, but he was taken first overall. And he's going to be given a shot at training camp to make the team. In fact, yesterday, Matthew Schaefer was in town to sign his 3-year entry-level contract. He was supposed to throw out the first ball at a Mets game a few weeks ago, the week of rookie camp, and it got a development camp, and it got postponed because of rain. So Matthew Schaefer came back into town to sign his contract. Last night, threw out the first pitch. It was at Citi Field last night where the announcement was made, and then the Islanders made their own announcements that he had signed his entry-level deal. But here's the beauty of what's going on with the Islanders. They now they have a pulse. They have a heartbeat. And again, Lou Lamoriello did a great job changing the culture. But at some point, you have to have, the organization has to have a breath of fresh air. And I don't think any of this happens with Lou at the helm. All the open practices, this, that, and the other thing. Here's what happened yesterday. I'm going to show you a video. The Islanders put this out on social media yesterday. You know the story about Matthew Schaefer. So here, let me just set this video up, and then Chris Gadham's going to play it for you. Matthew Schaefer comes into the Islanders locker room at UBS Arena to sign his contract. GM Matthew Darche is there. There are also 20 children who have also lost a parent, like Matthew Schaefer. I'll let the rest of the video do the talking.
Thanks for being here. I think you know you're going to meet Matthew. That's part of the day. What's going to be more exciting today too is you're going to help me sign Matthew to his first contract.
What's going on? How are you guys doing with it? It's tough. It's never going to be easy, but I guarantee you when you guys are playing baseball, she's always has a front row seat to every game you play. She's the umpire calling out strikes.
We have one more person that wants to get something signed. Nicole, I'll let you do your thing.
On behalf of New York Islanders, it was kind of, tough, your agent, but we got the job done.
Perfect. Let's see it.
It's official.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Islanders.
Thank you. Cool. Appreciate it. There you go. Yeah.
Let's go, Islanders!
Just a wonderful day out at UBS Arena yesterday. And again, this young man, I'll tell you, I don't know if he's going to be ready to play in the NHL at 18 years old. He'll turn 18 in September. He'll go to training camp and try and win a job with the Islanders. And they'll give him 9 games probably, because you can play 9 games before you have to be sent back to juniors. Once you play the 10th game, you can't go back to juniors. And you also can't get sent down to the AHL. So if he plays more than 9 games with the Islanders, he'll be with the Islanders for the season, but we'll see what winds up happening. But he's an incredible young man, and kudos to the Islanders yesterday for putting that wonderful thing together. And hearts go out to Matthew and also those 20 kids there who all lost a parent. I just, young people having to deal with losing a parent. Listen, it's tough to lose a parent no matter what, no matter how old you are. And, I lost my dad a while ago. My wife lost her father a couple of weeks ago. And it's awful. It's awful to deal with, because you imagine how children are dealing with it. It's just awful. And I don't want to go too far off on a tangent on it, because I'm going to start crying. So I'm not going to do that. But kudos to the Islanders for a wonderful, wonderful thing that they did yesterday. Chris, I'm going to blow off the commercial break. I'm just going to read this, and then we're going to welcome in our guest. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Well, you see I'm all decked out in Jet stuff today. And I am excited about the Jets season. I actually went with my son Bradley to Jets training camp last week. I think the excitement comes from the fact that there are no expectations, at least not lofty expectations, for the 2025 Jets. And no matter what the expectations are for the team, it's always great to talk Jets football with my good friend. He has covered the Jets for the Associated Press for such a long time now, and he's still going strong, and he's still going out to Florham Park every day. And I want to welcome to the program my good friend Dennis Waszak from the Associated Press. Dennis, it's Peter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, Pete. I appreciate you having me on. As you can
Chris,
see,
I'm having a hard time hearing Dennis. I don't know if it's the headphones or...
Oh, really?
Dennis, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
There you go. You know what? I'm going to take the headphones off, because now I can hear you through a different speaker. So let's just get rid of the headphones there for a second. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was just saying, you can see I'm all kind of red. I've been kind of burnt up at camp watching... Not a lot of offense, some good defense though, but it hasn't been a lot of offense to be excited about. So far.
a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah, a lot of sunscreen, hats, sunglasses, everything. But it's the dog days of camp. So and I'm feeling it.
Yeah. And listen, I was out there last Thursday with my son Bradley. It was hot, and listen, it's not. I've always marveled. More than any other sport, I've always marveled the football players going through training camp. And I think you may know this story. I don't think you were covering the Jets yet, but I know I'll bring it up because Kevin Mawai was at practice today, as I saw on social media. But there was a number of years ago, I want to say, Mawai was a few years into his Jets tenure. They're still practicing at Hofstra, and at that time they were still doing 2-a-days. So they were out there at 8:30 in the morning, then they take the break, you go get lunch, you come back 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the Jets are back on the field at Hofstra. And I walk back on the field to go cover the second practice, and there's Kevin Mawai on a bicycle on the sideline. So and I felt I was able to do this because I got along with him great. And I said, what are you doing here on the bicycle before the second practice? He goes, it's called being an 8-year veteran in the National Football League. So I totally get when, if they want to give these guys a little bit of a break, if a veteran player wants to get a day off, I totally get it. It is hot out. You're wearing all that equipment, shoulder pads, helmets, all that stuff. Do you have the same feeling towards these players when they have to suit up when it's 90 degrees outside like that?
Yeah, it really does amaze me sometimes when you see these guys, especially trying to think. Was yesterday bad? They all mix in, but we had a stretch where there were practices that were just hot. And then the thing that I give a lot of credit to the players for is after doing all that, they have to talk to us. Like, there's not every player comes up to the podium, obviously, but certain players have to come up on a given day, and those guys, they take time out. And also, if we're doing one-on-ones for other stories, features or whatever, they take their time out, and that's where it really impresses me, because I mean, right after practice, I don't want to talk to anybody, and I didn't even do all the practice, I just stood there watching. So, like, I can't imagine how these guys feel. But I guess that's what it means, when you're young, and because not so young anymore. So,
Yeah.
but these guys, I give them a lot of credit for that. And Pete, like you mentioned, like, the two-a-days. I remember up in Cortland that when Rex Ryan had the two-a-days, I think they ended somewhere during his tenure, but definitely the first year or two, there were still two-a-days. And I remember going out there, and you had to be out there early, 8 a.m. or 8:30, 9, whatever. And then there would be a full practice, and then it would be lunch, and then we would be in the press box writing stories. And then, there were more practices. There was another practice after that. I just can't imagine, what that is like. It was a little cooler up in Cortland, which was kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, some of these sites that had two-a-days where it was really hot, I can't even imagine. Like,
Speaking of Cortland, I miss Doug's fish fry.
Yeah, Doug's fish fry. My family and I, we went up to Niagara Falls in Canada, Toronto, for the first time. On our way back, we drove through Cortland, stopped at Central City Grill, which I always like going. Larry Hardesty, who at ESPN Radio for the longest time, we used to go there a lot. But Doug's Fish Fry, the Dark Horse, Harry Tony's, those were all spots. You could, on any given night, you could find a Jets player or coach, in one of those spots with a bunch of Jets fans. It was pretty cool.
My autograph was up on the wall there because I covered a couple of the Jet training camps up there, and they always Mark, the owner, always made sure that anybody who was anybody, not that I'm anybody, but I'm just saying anybody who was around the Jets, signed that wall. I think you probably signed that wall too, I would.
Yeah, and in fact, Rich Cimini, who teaches a class at Syracuse, he stopped there about a month or two ago, he said, and the big helmets, they were big Jets helmets that we signed, they're all gone. So I wonder who has them, because there's probably some good names on there, like LaDainian Tomlinson, and like there's some good names on there, but they're no longer on the wall. So unfortunately,
that's definitely a shame. Let's talk some football now that we got all that other stuff out of the way, and we'll start with the news of today. And first, there was certainly some concern when Breece Hall left practice today, but he came back, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But there are some other injuries that came out of practice today. Tyrod Taylor, Mason Taylor, Will McDonald, Byron Cower. What was the latest after practice? What Aaron Glenn told everybody?
So Mason Taylor, unfortunately, has a high ankle sprain, and he said he's out for at least a week. As you know, high ankle sprains are a problem for guys, especially guys who make a living running and catching footballs, and pivoting and turning and all that. So it's too bad, because Mason Taylor was really coming on, and he was one of the few bright spots on that offense so far, and really developing a rapport with Justin Fields, and really you kind of thought so, because he was so productive at LSU, and he has the bloodlines with Jason Taylor and his uncle Zach Thomas, and he knows what it takes, and he was showing it. And I think a lot of people were excited to see what he might be able to do in the preseason. And it looks like it might be a couple of weeks. Tyrod has a knee.
I would tell him to take 3 or 4 weeks off. Just be ready for week 1.
Yeah, and Aaron Glenn said he has no concern that he'll be behind at all. He said, and he pointed out the bloodlines and said, this kid knows, I have no concerns about him, that. But you want to get him, you want to make sure he's healthy. That's the first thing, because he will be a key piece of this offense. And we were seeing that through the first, 10 practices or whatever. But Tyrod has a knee issue. Both he and Mason Taylor missed yesterday and today. With Tyrod, it'll be probably a week or so. He doesn't think Aaron Glenn doesn't think it's going to be a long-term thing, but you want to make sure he's ready to roll week one, because there's still a lot of uncertainty with Justin Fields. He's the starter, no doubt, but you want to make sure you have that vet who can potentially take over if all the wheels fall off. So he should be fine. Byron Cowart, he left on a cart. I believe it was with an ankle. The one injury that was of some concern was A.Z. Thomas, the fourth-round rookie cornerback out of Florida State. He went up to try to make a play on a ball and fell on his right shoulder, and that didn't look good. It didn't sound good, and that's unfortunate for him, because he could have a role too, like more as a depth guy, maybe special teams, but he might be out for some time. And I mean, the injuries are piling up. You have Quinnen Williams who's out. You have these injuries here, Mason Taylor.
Was there an update on Quinn? Was there an update on Quinnen today? Because he got hurt on Thursday. I know they said it was going to be like a week or two for him.
Yeah. So far, nothing. We haven't even seen him out, working with the trainer. So it'll probably be a couple of weeks. Again, he's one of those where don't rush it. Just make sure that calf is fine. Because I mean, that D line has so many guys. And Quinnen is the star without a doubt. So you want to make sure that guy takes it easy, gets healthy, and is out there for week one.
You want to make sure he's ready for week one so that he can take care of this hack quarterback that the Steelers are going to have coming into the Meadowlands.
Yeah. How about that? Isn't that wild how that turned out? I mean,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of wanted to go next, because I talked, when I was introducing you, and I said this at the beginning of the show too. Expectations. It's a lot easier when there's no expectations. I think the last 2 years, if you're a Jets fan or if you're anybody in the Jets organization, like the expectations were so high when Aaron Rodgers came to the Jets, and it just, nothing went right. And it's like a balloon, and you stick a needle in the balloon and it pops. Like, to me, it's almost like, and again, there's a new GM and a new head coach in place this year. But it just seems like, Dennis, and I got this impression being around the fans last Thursday and talking to them and meeting with them on social media and everything like that. It just seems to be like there's more of a relaxed feeling around the team, because the expectations aren't high, and there are some pieces on this team that you can be excited about. We just talked about Mason Taylor, and I think Justin Fields was the right fit at quarterback for the short term while they figure things out. But do you get that impression too, being around the team every day, that there is just, since Aaron left, not that it was all his fault, but it just seems to me that there's just an easier, calmer feeling around the team this year?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I think the players have noticed it too. I think it's really the Aaron Glenn effect, and one Aaron left and another Aaron came in, and I think they're total opposite personalities. And I think that's a big part of it. The expectations for them to be a playoff team now, that it's not there. I know there's this whole thing, 14 straight seasons without a playoff appearance, the longest in the NFL, the longest drought currently. And as a Jets fan, you are frustrated. You want to get to the playoffs finally. It's been way too long.
I think frustration is not the word I was thinking of.
Yeah, I got you. But and you know what? And that's justified too. And they know that. The team knows that. I think Woody Johnson knows that. And and as much as people talk about, Woody and all that, I think he feels it too. He wants to win. He knows what people are saying about him and the franchise and all that. He, like, as a human being, you don't want people talking that trash about you. So I think he's trying to he made the move to bring in a guy who played for this franchise, was a successful player, a well-liked player, a respected player, then who went and worked his way up through the scouting department and went through the coaching. Just being an assistant and then a coordinator, he paid his dues, and this is not somebody who, it's just like, let's bring in the next player and that'll be nice, and like I loved when St. John's hired Chris Mullen, that was like, oh man, this is tremendous, but was he the best choice for
No.
St. John's. Was he the best coach? That kind of thing. It was nice until it wasn't anymore. And I think with Aaron Glenn, it's hard to argue with that choice. I mean, some people would say the problem has been the offense. Let's bring in an offensive minded guy. But I think that's overblown sometimes.
Right, yeah.
I think what they did here was they brought in a guy who could blow up the culture and change it. And again, that is one of the most overused terms, right? Like when we talk like culture. But I think it was really needed because what went on the past few years, when you bring in an Aaron Rodgers, you're expecting the Super Bowl. These guys talk Super Bowl, and it just didn't work. And now,
well, it's kind of like Dennis. It was kind of like when the Islanders brought Lou Lamoriello in to change the culture, in 2018, and it worked. They got to the Final Four a couple of times, but then just his way of doing things just kind of like suffocated the franchise a little bit. So you need that breath of fresh air, and I think that's really where the Jets are right here with the new GM Darren Muji and with Aaron Glenn. There's just that. It's like it really. I enjoyed my day out there on Thursday. And I'm enjoying watching you guys post all the clips and all the things. Like it's enjoyable because it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. That's the first step in this, I think. And now,
and Joe Beningo hasn't jumped off the cliff yet. When I talk to him every Saturday morning, so we're in a good place right now.
Yeah, and you want to keep that and keep building on it. Now the injuries don't help, right? And it's funny because a lot of us wrote, what was it? It was Aaron Glenn. When he got emotional about the fans being there at the green and white practice on Saturday, and he said it was the first time it really kind of hit him, and he thought it had already hit him, but he got his voice cracked while talking about it. I think that was legit. I think fans are okay, but they want to see something more because you guys have heard this for years, for decades. It's like a new coach, and you go from a player's coach to a disciplinarian, back to a player's coach to a discipline, like change it, keep. So now you have this guy who is a former player and like all the things that I said before. And I think I like his straightforward approach to things. I like the fact that he was a player. He can connect with the players of today, and I think there's a respect among the players, and that's sort of a thing that you don't. It's hard to like quantify that as far as you have coaches who earn respect from players by winning, But now you've already got the respect of these players because you've been a player. What these guys have been through, and you've been through two-a-days where these guys don't have to do two-a-days anymore. So I think that's the thing. And you talk to the defensive backs and a lot of the defensive players, even the offensive players, they say that. They talk about like the attraction was like he was one of us,
Right.
But he does make that distinction that I'm running things, I'm the coach. So now the next step is let's see what happens on the field, and that's what training camp is for, and he's taking charge. He's using a whistle. That was a story. He's using a whistle. You don't see coaches blowing whistles anymore. You hear the horns and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
I noticed that on Thursday too. That was pretty cool to see and hear.
Yeah. It's cool. It's different.
Dennis, let me close with this. The preseason opener against the Packers, is coming up, and obviously some fans have been able to get out to practice. Some have been just banking on the clips and stuff like that as the Jets get ready for this first game. First of all, tell me any starters expected to play in the opener, and give me a player or two to look at for the fans to look at in the preseason opener.
Yeah, we're not sure yet, and we asked Aaron Glenn, and he said I'll answer that later in the week. As far as whether starters will play, I kind of think they need to, at least some of them. I think Justin Fields needs to play. I kind of alluded to this, and Jets fans who are following all the writers and everything, that the offense has not looked good. There's been some struggles, and they're installing this offense, and Justin Fields himself is trying to get up to speed with this. He's been hit. There have been drops and all of that, but it's been a collective thing. So I think you kind of need some of those offensive guys. I'd leave Garrett out. Breece Hall doesn't have to play. But the offensive linemen, just to get, one series in together with Justin Fields, I could see that happening, and then those guys playing against the Giants in the second game and sitting for the third game. As far as some of the guys to look out for, I mean, it's too bad Mason Taylor, isn't playing.
Yeah.
That he would certainly be a guy.
Because he would have played, right? He definitely would have played.
Yeah, I think so. I think all the rookies will play. I think I think the interesting things to look at will be the offensive line depth and the defensive line depth, because there are so many guys who are fighting for spots. You have like a rookie Peyton Page, D lineman. I think you could look for him. There's some veterans too who have made some plays during camp. I mean, Cowart was one of them, and it doesn't look like he's going to play since he hurt his ankle today. But Fedarian Mathis, that's a guy like, he's been around, but he's made some plays, and he's a big dude. He might be able to really help with that rotation. There's some other guys too that you don't think about, like offensively. Stone Smart, the tight end. If Mason Taylor's out for a while, he's going to get some snaps, with Jeremy Ruckert, and he's made some plays in camp. And then some of the rookie wide receivers, Arian Smith, Brandon Smith, who was on the practice squad last year. There's a few other guys I can't think off the top of my head, but they have a lot of guys who might be fighting for that 5th or 6th spot. And I mean, now's the time for that, and it's interesting to see. And we don't have to deal with a kicking competition because it's going to be Nick Folk. So
yeah, a true folk hero is back.
Right, exactly. That was a surprise. It was like that came out of nowhere, and it's kind of cool. Like he's part of a successful part of the Jets' recent history. So that was kind of nice to see.
And he gets to play with a Taylor again, because he played with Jason Taylor the first time around, and now with Jason Taylor's son. Isn't that crazy?
And on top of that, Folk was teammates with Aaron Glenn through the offseason of Folk's rookie year in Dallas. And Glenn left the Cowboys and went to Jacksonville for that season. So briefly, Folk was teammates with Mason Taylor's father, Mason Taylor's uncle, and the head coach that he's playing for now, Aaron Glenn. Pretty wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Hey, I cannot let you go without giving a shout out to your mom, because when I posted the other day that you were coming on the show, she responded saying, "Oh, my handsome son."
That's my mom.
So like, but my mom watches every show. She listens on her computer. Whenever I'm on FAN, she always listens. So shout out to all the moms, but I wanted to shout out to your mom as well, because of the nice message that she wrote to you on Instagram.
Yeah, that's she's my biggest fan. She and my dad, my wife, that's cool. But that's mom right there. So that's
absolutely.
It's awesome.
Dennis, thank you so much. I feel we could talk Jets football for hours, but I only had about 20 minutes to give you today. But we'll definitely do it again, either later in training camp or when the season starts. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it, man.
You got it, Dennis. Dennis Waszak covers the Jets for the Associated Press. Lots more to come here on Sports Bash. We'll take a break. We'll come right back and close out the show with some good stuff coming back after this.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Morning Lions Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Heating and Air Conditioning Service. I'm Peter Schwartz. So many thanks to my good friend Dennis Waszak from the Associated Press. That was a great Jet segment with him, and make sure you're following him on all his socials, on X, on Instagram. He's a great follow, a lot of great content. And excuse me one second while I take a drink. Excuse me for a little sore throat there. But the great thing that Dennis has a scorecard on his social media every day where he lists. It's like a stock market kind of thing. He'll give you the best players from that day in practice, and something bad happened, he'll point that out. But it's a popular thing for Jet fans who follow Dennis on social, and he's a great follow. So no question, you should definitely follow him for that. It's time for the Sports Bash Media sporting event calendar, and it's brought to you by TicketBash.com. The Mets continue their series with the Cleveland Guardians at Citi Field tonight and tomorrow. The Yankees, they return home on August 8th to open up a 3-game series with the Houston Astros. So bring your garbage cans and pound on the garbage cans for that series. WNBA action tonight at Barclays Center. The Liberty hosting the Dallas Wings. You can grab tickets for all of these events and more at TicketBash.com. No service fees, and they have the best prices around. Up next, I love this segment every day, every couple of days on the show. Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and our good friend Dom over at Coach's Collectibles always comes up with a great item that we can feature here on the show. And if you watch the new Happy Gilmore 2 movie, you'll notice that a big star in the movie is John Daly. And here we have an 8x10 autographed John Daly framed photo. It's great. You see the cigarette he's smoking while he's teeing off there. So it's a great shot and a great signature. And he did it. He was so funny in the movie. I don't know if anybody's seen Happy Gilmore 2 yet, but it was a really funny movie. And John Daly was great in it. So this is a great item. And if you want to check it out amongst other things on the great website, Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. Next up, I thought about it this morning, and I should have just moved this to my opening rant because I started with the Yankee rant, and it really should have led into the question, but I figured, let's not get out of order. Everybody's used to the Sports Bash Media poll question being later in the show. So here we go. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday on the show, on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page, and it's very simple. And I should have added Brian Cashman to this, but I think for the immediate moment right now, it applies. Should the Yankees fire Aaron Boone right now? And if we're at Governors, usually we go around the room because Tony will chime in. If it's a Thursday, Wiz will chime in. Chris, you're a Yankee fan, right? Should the Yankees fire Aaron Boone? Not staying up to date. We'll just say they should fire him. Okay, thank you. There you go. Yankees should fire Aaron Boone right now. I'm going with a yes. And just by brute force, Chris said yes as well. Coming up on Thursday's show, as you know, we play Stump the Wiz every Thursday. We did not have a show last week because of the ongoing situation at Governor, so we didn't have a show later last week, but we will have a show on Thursday. I'll get to that with the timing and everything in just a few minutes. So we ask you to DM your best sports trivia questions to Sports Bash Media, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If we pick your question, you stump the whiz, you'll get a Daryl Strawberry autographed 8x10 photo from our friends at Coach's Collectibles. It's a great item. And, again, we didn't have a show last week, but Wiz has been on a roll getting these questions, and sometimes in a split second he's getting them. So we haven't been able to give away this 8x10 Daryl Strawberry autograph photo. So we hope to do that next on Thursday. Excuse me. Let me take another drink of water. I'll tell you why I lost my voice, or I'm getting a little agitated because I was on the phone today with Cablevision Optimum for an hour and a half, trying to add HBO. I thought about leading with this. I said, nah, people don't want to hear my problems. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I'll just throw it out there. Hour and a half on the phone with Cablevision today, with Optimum, trying to add HBO. I know you're going to say, oh, Peter, just go on, and click on add HBO. It's fine. But I'm like, what if I don't like HBO? What if I wanted to just get a month? So I called up trying to get a promotional item. And they offered me 3 months for free. I said, great, where do I sign up? Hold on, let me get you to another person to do that. I get to the next person and I said, I want to add HBO. Great, we have a promotion, 6 months for free. I'm like, great, that's even better than the first offer. Let's do it. Hold on, I got to transfer you to another department. And I'm on hold with the other department, and the guy is like, nah, I can't do that. I can offer it to you for $16.99 a month. And I'm like, what happened to the 3 months for free and the 6 months for free? And then I get a call back, and they hung up the phone on me while I was on hold with the call back. The whole point of getting the call back is that you call me when you're ready to talk. And they did it twice, and they kept hanging up the phone on me. And I called the number back, and I spoke to another person. And they're like, no, well, you're not a new customer. You're an existing customer, so we can't give you anything for free. And I'm like, but I get that. But you one of your people offered it to me for free for 3 months. Another person offered it for 6 months. At this point, I'll take it for one. So I kept getting hung up on. So I'm going to have to deal with that again later on after the show. Let's get on to some brighter things. Won't you? Not my problems with the people at Optimum and other Chazarai. But this is actually fun for my entire family. As you know, if you follow me and all my exploits and you listen to my stuff with Boomer and Gio and FAN, you know my son Bradley is a long snapper. Went to Western Connecticut State last year. But the coach left and they dropped his major. So we went in the transfer portal and we have the new home. But again, we would have done this late last week, but we didn't have a show. So we are very, very happy that Bradley is going to be a sports management major and is committed to Post University in Connecticut. And we are very, very excited about that. He'll be heading on up there tomorrow. Our whole family is looking forward to cheering on the Eagles this season. The opener is August 30th against West Virginia University Wesleyan College. So we are excited for the next chapter in Bradley's football career, but also going to a great school where he's going to be able to major in sports management. And we are excited for Bradley and what's coming up. And obviously, we talked about this on the show last week, but Bradley's not the only one in the house who just recently had a great sports experience. Jared and his team, baseball team, went to Cooperstown to play at Doubleday Field. So that was great. We had a wonderful couple of days in Cooperstown, going to the Hall of Fame. Remember, I did the show that Tuesday from the Baseball Hall of Fame, and then the boys played on Tuesday and Wednesday at Doubleday Field. It was fantastic, so we were excited about that. But best of luck to Bradley this year at Post University. This summer, we had an intern that worked here on the show, and ironically, he was someone who played football with Bradley at MacArthur High School here on Long Island. But Griffin Shapiro was our summer intern, and he has left us for the summer to head back to Western New England University, where he majors in sports management, just like Bradley is going to major at Post University. But we thank Griffin for a great summer of hard work. Not only did he work here on Sports Bash, but in a combined effort, also worked with my good friend Sean Wachter and his wrestling promotion. So between Sports Bash and Sean Wachter Promotions, Griffin had a great summer having an internship for sports management. A hard worker, was great, did some social media stuff for us here on the show, helped us out at the Marty Lyons Foundation golf outing. So Griffin, great job this summer. It was great having you involved in the show. And please, when you get back, after the semester, make sure you stop by. We'll probably be back at Governor's, I would think, by that point. We hope. Well, not that we don't like being here with Chris. That didn't come out right, Chris. I apologize for that. Now he's crying. That didn't come out the right way. But Griffin, we look forward to seeing you back here on Long Island. Stop by the show, and we love getting your sports perspectives. So we look forward to have a great senior year and a great senior season on the football team with the Golden Bears. This Friday, August 8th, one of my favorite events of the year. My family and I love being involved, volunteers with the Marty Lyons Foundation. And this Friday is the 4th annual Marty Lyons Foundation Vincent Vomero Memorial Bowling for Wishes event at Levittown Lanes here on Long Island. You can get more information. Go to martylyonsfoundation.org. It's a great event, raises money for a great cause. A lot of people. Marty Lyons is going to be there. Kenny Schroy is going to be there. Some other surprises as well. Great night of bowling, food, raffle prizes. A live DJ is there every year. Looking forward to being there on Friday for what is a great event. You bowl a little bit, you have some fun, rub some elbows with some great people, great Jet fans. So again, more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Now, again, as the situation unfolds at Governor's, we don't know when we're getting back to that studio. So for the time being, at least, we are going to be here at Collaborate Studios here in Levittown, in Lynbrook. Both towns have to be starting with an L, right, Chris? So we're going to be here for the time being. Now on Thursday, we're going to be on with you at a special time. We're going to be on with you because I got this other thing that I call WFAN that I got to do in the morning. So by the time I get home, wouldn't be able to be back for 1 o'clock. So we are going to do the show on Thursday at 2:30. Chris is going to pick me up at the Lynbrook train station, get me over here in time. No, I'm just kidding. It's a short walk. It's right up the block. So we're going to do the show from 2:30 to 3:30 on Thursday. We may do a show Friday too. We're not sure yet. We got to see what the situation is. But for the time being, unless you hear otherwise, we will emanate the show from here at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook. So this Thursday, 2:30 is going to be the time of the show, 2:30 to 3:30. And if you can't watch it live, of course, you can always watch it on Memorex. Remember, if you're old enough to remember what Memorex is. No, but you can watch it on demand on Sports Bash Media and also on Governor's Comedy Club podcast later on in the day if you can't watch us live at 2:30. Sports Bash is presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to my guest, Associated Press Jets beat writer Dennis Wazak. Also, thanks to Chris Ganem, everyone here at Collaborate Studios in Lynbrook, and thanks to our social media coordinator, Connor Kalb. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. By the way, before I forget, my good friend Kenny Zor at the Marty Lyons Foundation, I don't know if this was on camera during the course of the program, but he knows how much I love late night television. Was a big fan of David Letterman and Johnny Carson, and had this little gift for me in a bag at the foundation offices in Bayshore the other day. It's like if you watch late night television, you see the hosts have these like microphones on the table. So I have my late night talk show microphone prop here on the thing. So it makes it look like that's a real microphone, but it's not. I'm talking into this. So thank you very much, Kenny. See you on Friday at the bowling event. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. Sports Bash returns this Thursday, special time, 2:30. Thanks for watching today. Have a great day, everybody.